There are a bunch of stitches that we use while making these hexagons, and I'm going to go over all of them over here. So the design that is built is mainly using reverse and knit stitches, but there are the corners which are built with knit simple twisted stitches. So I'm going to show you all of those here so you can practice these before you start your hexagon. So we're going to start with a foundation row. So this one, I'm going to work this flat. The hexagons are worked in a round, but I think it's a good idea to work these stitches separately and practice them separately. So I'm just going to make a chain of 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So that's 10 chains, and I'm going to make the foundation row stitches in the back bumps. So I'm going to turn this around. I'm going to find this back bump and then yarn over, pull through. I'm going to do the same thing for every chain, and I'm demonstrating this with the same yarn that I've used for my hexagons, but if you are practicing these for the if you're practicing these for the first time, then make sure that you use heavier weight yarn. I just wanted to use this one for the tutorial so you can see how it works up and how it looks with this yarn. So here will be 10 stitches on my hook. So that's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, and I'm going to make my return pass by yarning over, pulling through 1, and then yarn over, pull through 2 until the beginning of this row. So this is not really a tutorial about how to work in the flat projects. If you need help with that, I have separate tutorials for it. I assume that you would know how to work flat projects if you're here. So I'm not going to go in the detail for that. I'm going to focus on the stitches. Yeah, I'm going to begin by showing you, telling you a little bit about the anatomy of a Tunisian crochet stitch. This is essential to understand, because if you do, then making your stitches gets really, really easy. So here is, I'm going to pick one stitch here. So for instance, this stitch, and it's going to be the same for every stitch. So this stitch here, there is this vertical bar at the front. It's the front vertical bar. And then there is this vertical bar at the back, which is this one. These are the two main bars that you need to know of to make the stitches that are used in this technique. And you can pick this back vertical bar from here, or you could turn this project around and find the back vertical bar here. It's used in one of the stitches, so that's why I'm pointing it out. So this back vertical bar here and the front vertical bar here. And we're going to pick these up differently to make different stitches. So starting with the simple stitch, which as the name suggests is the simplest stitch in Tunisian crochet, that's what we always begin with. So leaving this loop on the hook, I'm going to find the front vertical bar of the next stitch, insert my hook, yarn over, pull through. So that's a simple stitch. Now I'm going to make it again. I'm going to insert my hook here, yarn over, pull through. Insert hook here, pick up the front vertical bar, yarn over, pull through. I'm going to do that for the entire row. So that's Tunisian simple stitches. Making my last stitch here and then the return pass. So pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So that's a row of simple stitches. The next stitch that we've used is a reverse stitch. So we're going to pick up the back vertical bar, but from behind the project. So we turn this, find that back vertical bar, which is right here. So you can see it from the front. It's here, but we need to pick it from behind the project. So you turn it around and you pick it up from here and then yarn over, pull through. So same thing for the next stitch. Find that back vertical bar, yarn over, pull through. Back vertical bar, yarn over, pull through. If that's hard to find like that, what you could also do is you could hold the project like this, and you see here, it's easier to see the back vertical bar here. So just pull it a little so it stands out. What you can do is you can insert your hook from back to front and then pick up that back vertical bar like that. There are times when I find one easier than the other, but I just wanted to give you those two options. You can turn your project around, find the back vertical bar and pick it up that way, or you could insert your hook back to front and then insert your hook here and isolate that back vertical bar and pick it up like that. So that's reverse stitches. I'm going to make the return pass. So that's a row of simple stitches and a row of reverse stitches. The next stitch that you need to know to make the hexagons is the Tunisian knit stitch. And for that, you'd have to find the two vertical bars of a stitch and then insert your hook front to back in between those two vertical bars and then yarn over, pull through. So same, find the two vertical bars, insert your hook front to back and then yarn over, pull through. And I'm going to do that for every stitch here. So insert your hook in between the two vertical bars, front to back, yarn over, pull through. And the return pass now, which is chain one, yarn over, pull through two. Okay, so that's a row of simple stitches, then a row of reverse stitches, and then a row of knit stitches. The next stitch that we are going to use is a Tunisian full stitch. So Tunisian full stitches are slightly different than what we've done here so far. So full stitches are worked in between two stitches. So here, this is the first stitch, and this is the next stitch after, and there is this space in between the two. So right here, this is the front vertical bar of the next stitch, this is the back vertical bar, and there is this space in between the two stitches. So that is where we are going to insert our hook. So insert hook, yarn over, pull through. Now the next one will be made in between the next two stitches. So here is this one stitch, this is the front vertical bar, and this is the back vertical bar, and then this is the next stitch, this is the front vertical bar, and this is the back vertical bar. And if you move these a little, you can see that there is this space in between the two stitches. So that's where we're going to insert our hook. Like that. So I'm going to make a stitch in every space here. And I'm going to leave the last one. This has got to do with shaping. If I've already have 9 loops on the hook, so that's 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, and the 10th one is going to be here in the last stitch. And yarn over, pull through. So I'm maintaining stitch count. I'm going to make the return pass now. So that's a row of full stitches. There's two more stitches that we're going to use in making our hexagons, and those are mainly used in the corners. So I'm going to show you how to make those. Those are the twisted stitches, and I'm going to switch to a different color yarn, so hopefully it's easier to see. The next stitch that you need to know is the twisted Tunisian simple stitch. So it's the same thing as a simple stitch where we pick up the front vertical bar, but the difference is that you're going to insert your hook in the opposite direction. So normally you would go from this direction like this, but for a twisted simple stitch, you would go in the opposite direction this way. So what you do is you twist your hook, pick up the vertical bar from the other side, and twist upward. So it's a twisted up Tunisian simple stitch. So you could twist down, and so you pick up this hook and you twist down, and that makes a different stitch. We're not doing that. So it's twisted up simple stitch. And so yarn over and pull through. Now, and there's another way how I do this if it's not possible to pick up this way. What I do is I use another hook. I pick this stitch up in the opposite direction. I yarn over and I pull through, and then I transfer this over to my hook. So that also works. The idea is to insert your hook in the opposite direction. Another thing that works sometimes is that if it's hard to pick up this stitch in the opposite direction or this vertical bar, what you can do is you can give it a little tug here so it's easy to see that, and then you can insert your hook in the opposite direction and then yarn over, pull through. So there's like 3 different ways that I've shown you that you can do this, and I hope that one of them will work. I find that using a different hook initially is very, very helpful if you are not able to do this. So just take another hook, insert it like this in the opposite direction, yarn over, pull through, and then transfer this loop over to your regular hook. So it's just using the assistance of another hook to do the exact same thing. And this gets particularly harder because if we right now we only have like 4 or 5 loops on the hook, but if we had more than this, if you're working your hexagons and you had more stitches than this, then picking up this stitch in the opposite direction is a little bit hard. So just try different things, see which one works best for you, and it is always a good idea to practice this in isolation and not do it while you're making your hexagons. And please use a heavier weight yarn. Again, I'm using this for the tutorial just so you can see how it works up with fingering weight yarn, but you can always practice these stitches with heavier weight yarn. So that's 2, 4, 6, 8, 9, and the last stitch here. And you can see here it's just the slant of the stitches is different. So if you look at this first row here, the stitches are angled slightly this way, and if you look at these, they're slightly this way. So it's just which direction they're angled. Simple stitches are this way and twisted simple stitches are this way. So I'm going to make the return pass. That's yarn over, pull through, and then pull through 2. Okay, so I'm going to change color here so again it's easier to see. I'll make another row of twisted simple stitches, so in case it wasn't clear with that color yarn. So I'm going to insert my hook in the opposite direction, yarn over and pull through. Insert hook in the opposite direction, pick up the front vertical bar, yarn over, pull through. I'm going to do the same thing with a different hook and show you how it goes. So insert hook in the opposite direction, yarn over, pull through, and then transfer this to this hook. So we are using the stitch only at the corners, so you'd have to do it a total of 6 times per round. So it's not very many, but you definitely need to know to get those corners neat. Here, insert hook in the opposite direction, twist up. Make sure you're twisting up. So twist it upwards and then yarn over, pull through. And the last stitch here. Okay, I'm going to change color again. I feel like it's easier to see the stitches with these alternating colors. Here, so this is 2 rows of twisted simple stitches. Now, the last stitch that you need to know is the twisted knit stitch. And it's again very similar to the knit stitch, where in the knit stitch you are inserting your hook in between the 2 vertical bars here, right here. But with the twisted knit stitch, you're going to do it in the opposite direction, wherein you'll move this top vertical bar to the other side and insert your hook in the same space, but from that direction. So what I do is I pull this slightly towards my working hand, and then I insert my hook and then yarn over, pull through. Same for the next one. I pull it a little. So instead of picking this like a simple stitch or twisted simple stitch, I don't pick this. I just move this and then insert my hook from front to back and then yarn over, pull through. So you see that little twist in the knit stitch. Here, insert my hook front to back. So there's a difference between the twisted simple and twisted knit. You're pulling on the same front vertical bar, but you're not picking it up. So you pick it up in twisted simple stitches, but you insert your hook front to back in twisted knit stitches. So these 2 stitches, I think they took me some time to understand and find a way to work them easily. This one also, you could use a other hook where you insert your hook in the opposite direction and through that space front to back, and then yarn over, pull through, and move this loop to your hook. So it's possible to use that other hook to do the same thing as we did with simple stitches, twisted simple stitches, that is. Here, and then so this is how it's looking, and then yarn over, pull through 2 until the beginning to complete the return pass. So here is how it is. It's simple stitches, reverse stitches, knit stitches, full stitches, then 2 rows of twisted simple stitches and a row of twisted knit stitches. I'm just going to make another row of twisted knit stitches. I feel like these ones are the hard ones. So just move this front bar over to the other side, insert hook front to back, and then yarn over, pull through. Move this out of the way, insert hook front to back, yarn over, pull through. And that's how it is. And then I'm going to chain 1 and then yarn over, pull through 2, complete the return pass. So here's how it looks. These are two rows of twisted knit stitches, and you can see that how these stitches are twisted, and you can clearly figure out that they are twisted knit stitches. And again, the twisted simple stitches, they're very similar to simple stitches, just the slant is different. So that's all the stitches that you need to know to be able to make the hexagons. There's just one more thing remaining, which is making the bind off row, and I'm going to show you how to do that so you can practice that as well. I'm going to do a reverse stitch bind off because that's what we will be doing in the hexagon. So I'm going to go in and find that back vertical bar, yarn over, pull through, and then instead of leaving these two loops on the hook, I'm going to slip, and that's a slip stitch bind off. So again, pick up that back vertical bar, yarn over, pull through, and slip stitch. So just make sure that your slip stitches, these loops, are not tight, because if they become too tight, there'll not be enough stretch at the edges in your hexagons, and the hexagons will not sit as flat as you'd want them to be. So just, and the joins will be slightly hard. So just make sure that your slip stitches here are fairly loose and consistent. Make sure that they're consistent, because it does happen that they become some of these become tighter than others. So just make sure that keeping them consistent just makes the project look very pretty, to have that beautiful bound off edge. And here the last stitch. And that's done. So that's a total of 6 stitches. So that's simple stitch, reverse stitch, knit stitch, full stitch, twisted simple stitch, twisted knit stitch, and then the bind off row with reverse stitches. So reverse stitches bound off using simple the slip stitch. So slip stitch bind off with reverse stitches. That's a lot to say, but it's you saw what I did, so you would understand. So I recommend practicing these stitches before you start your hexagons, and you can add as many rows or as many stitches as you like. You can keep practicing until you get your tension to be even, because that's the most important part when you're making any new when you're learning any new technique, to keep your tension even as you build new stitches, and that'll make your project look really, really, really nice once you've completed them. That's pretty much it about the stitches used. I'm going to now show you how to make a sample hexagon. So that will be used as a practice swatch for the Ipsa blanket. And that's to give you some practice before you actually start making your final hexagons.